Hello, I'm Nathan Jones, Internet Evangelist with Lamb and Lion Ministries. We're here at the Contending for the Faith 2019 Bible Conference hosted by Lamb and Lion Ministries. And I'm here with my good friend Eric Barger of Take a Stand Ministries. And Eric's one of our speakers. He'll be speaking this afternoon at 2:30. I have the honor of being able to introduce him later. And it is an honor, sir, because he is a world-class apologist. Why are you apologizing to everybody?
Yeah, I get that all the time. Well, that doesn't mean I'm sorry about anything, but apologetics is the defense of the faith. That's basically what that means. And there's apologists of all sorts: Democrat, Republican, Muslim, Mormon. Well, I'm a Christian apologist. I give a defense for why I believe the scriptures are true and why I believe Jesus is God and all those things.
How long have you been doing this?
This is my 36th year.
36 years?
Yeah, and most of those were traveling 200 plus days a year to conferences and churches around the country and actually overseas as well. But
Eric's got a fantastic testimony. Are you going to share a little bit about that in your presentation today?
Just a little bit, but I brought my testimony booklet, and if folks want to download this, they can go to our website and get a copy and download it on their computer.
EricBarger.com?
That's right, EricBarger.com, just like it sounds and spells, EricBarger.com. But they can get a copy of this, and it's something God has really used. It's our testimony, my wife and I, how we became Christians. She was into witchcraft and I was a New Ager. We were both drug addicts. She got saved and then I got saved, and God called us to ministry. So,
isn't that amazing? To go from a drug, New Age rock and roller to a Christian apologist who defends the faith. Well, your presentation then will be a defense of the faith. Can you give us a little what we can expect coming up?
Well, I've been dealing with the downfall of theology in the church for a long time, and I'm going to kind of give a chronology of what happened and how I got into it and what was going on in those different eras. So I'm going to talk about liberalism within our theology and our theological structure, and then how the emergent church moved in, and now some of the New Age ideas that are there in postmodernism. And so kind of go through that and give really a view of all of these things that have affected the way the churches operate, the things we do experientially, and also mainly what we believe. But I think a lot of people don't really realize what's going on around us. Maybe they know something isn't like it used to be, so to speak, in their churches.
Yes. I hear that a lot.
They're hearing more messages about how to live a happy life, but not too much about eternity. We're not hearing about salvation, not hearing about the scriptures. The scriptures aren't used the same way. So that'll be my approach this afternoon.
Well, I love his ministry is called Take a Stand, because you're calling the church to take a stand for the doctrinal soundness of the Bible. And it's funny because, we all know that there's something going wrong. We're in the church of Laodicea. There's an apathetic church. Bible prophecy seems to have gone out the window. What do you see as some of the biggest challenges to the church today?
Well, you just named one, because I think Bible prophecy is the ugly stepchild in a lot of churches. They won't talk about it.
No, it brings too much division and all. Yeah. I'm like, it's our
Exactly.
blessed hope. I don't see how it brings division.
And it bothers me just like it does you and David and others, that something that is such an integral part of the scripture is being left out, and some excuses are, well, it's too divisive, or I really don't want to take the time to study that. Well, this is a really important part of scripture. We have about 30% of the Bible that's taken up with prophecy of some sort, and if we're living at the time when these things are being fulfilled around us, and we see prophecy all around us being fulfilled over the last 70 years. In the last 70, since Israel became a state, look at how much prophecy has been fulfilled. If we're in that time, why doesn't the church know about it? Why aren't we talking about it?
Absolutely.
Plus, it's a great tool of evangelism to speak about the fact that God has all of our days numbered and understands exactly what's going to happen. We may not know the day or the hour. We may not know the name of the people involved in the events that will take place or have taken place in the past, but we can be sure that God superintends about these things. We should be the ones who understand what the scripture says and study it diligently to understand what we're to do in the day that we're in.
Well, if this is just a preview of what you're going to be doing later, it's going to be really exciting. If folks want to tune in, definitely hear Eric at 2:30. Eric, so we know that Bible prophecy is being ejected from the church. What would you say is the second, then, big problem that the churches are facing? You mentioned emergent church, but that's a term that's kind of expired now, right? Unfortunately, it's not emerging.
I don't want to give too much away.
Okay,
I'm going to talk about that today. But we can.
I don't want to get
well, we can give it away to those folks. I'm not giving it away to folks here yet, but that's some of what I'll talk about today.
Okay.
I think if there's any single thing besides and prophecy really fits into this, what I'm going to say, is that if you ask people about the doctrines of the faith, most of the church doesn't know what they are. Now, obviously some of us, myself included, who are older,
Yeah.
son, who are older, it's different for us because we were in a day, or we were in a time, and myself, I got saved in 1981. I began to hear about the virgin birth, salvation by grace, the blood atonement, the deity of Jesus Christ, the central doctrines of the faith. Today, especially younger people, they've not heard about those things. They may get little snippets, but there's not been any systematic teaching about the doctrines of the faith. So if there's any single thing that I think we need, is that we need to learn those things. People say, but I go to church because I want to get away from the pressure of the world, and I don't want to hear about anything that might disturb the way I feel. Well, sometimes God's trying to disturb us because He wants to change us. Mm-hmm. And if we don't have a grip on the doctrines of the faith that have brought the church to the place we are now after 2,000 years, will we make it in a day of real trouble? And I think the church could have, in fact, we see it all around us. Just here in America, we're not experiencing it yet to the extent that others are, but there's a day of trouble around us. Will we make it through on a nice feel-good sermon in a day of trouble? We need to know what we believe and why we believe it, and then we need to affect the world around us with that, with the gospel.
Absolutely.
It's a precious gospel, most precious of anything that's ever been produced. So.
I sat one church service and the pastor spoke on God's love, and he said, I counted 123 times love. He said the word love. And that's fine. We want to know that God's love.
Yeah.
But the students are getting off to the colleges, and then they're asking them the tough questions of the faith, apologetics questions. They don't know why they believe, and they're easily swayed.
Yeah.
So how is your ministry equipping people to defend their faith?
Well, I think maybe stirring things up as much as anything. And I'm not trying to be controversial in any way.
Of course.
It is controversial just to declare that Jesus is God in some circles.
Yes.
But we're trying to give people answers, reasons for their faith, and then also challenge them to actually take that out to the world. That's what changes lives. That's what brings people to a saving knowledge, and also equips them to be able to make those stands in the midst of adversarial surroundings. And believe me, the college campus, if there's any place where there's adversaries to the cause of Christ, you're going to find it there.
Well, my son is, can you believe it? He's 19 now. He's going off to college this year. It's a conservative college, but not a Christian college. And, you know, it's amazing. He's taken some classes. He took an Islamic class on how to learn how to speak Arabic. And the professor constantly challenged him on his faith. And what did he do? Instead of running away from God, he went to the books, he went to the Bible, and it became an apologetics class.
Yeah.
And so his faith is defended. So we can equip our youth to go out there and defend their faith, but they need ministries like that have the literature and the resources to help equip people. Can you tell folks how they can get those materials?
Sure. Again, ericbarger.com is the best place to go. You'll see our online bookstore there, which is secured and it's easy to use. And there's all kinds of information on our site. We have hundreds of articles. Most of my last book, part of my second to last book, all of my booklets, all of those things, articles, documentation for myself and others that we think are worth their salt. And so, in fact, I think you're in there too. And we have video clips and audio clips, and you'll see our Take a Stand TV information and so on. So just go on ericbarger.com. You can get it all. It's all free unless you want to buy a product out of the book table.
Okay. Eric Barger, live 2:30 today at christandprophecy.org or our YouTube channel, Christ and Prophecy. You don't want to miss it, folks. See Eric there.
Amen.
Thank you.